you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. How about you, Hadipji? How are you?
Oh.
How has your practice been going, everyone? Like, how have the classes been? Are they too intense? Are you guys, able to practice properly with the classes? How has it been going?
It's going good.
Yeah, it's all good for me too. I'm really happy. In fact,
Okay.
it's really a very good and an amazing month for me, I think.
Okay, great. Good. How about you, Hadipji? All well? Coping up with the classes?
Sorry?
Like how have the classes been for you? Are they too intense? Are you able to practice along with the classes? How?
Yeah, classes was very good. I liked it and the practice is going well.
Oh,
Mm.
okay.
I just wanted to know
Great.
more about assignments as my is 2,800 hour course and I started from 2nd of August, right? So when I'll have to give presentation and what are the assignments and when you'll give that?
So we'll be giving you the assignments at the end of the course. Like on 26th, you will have your last class, and I'll be giving you your assignment then. And then you can like take the rest of the days of the month to complete that assignment and email it to us. So each and every teacher will have their different, um, uh, some might take presentations, some might give you assignments. So it depends on the teacher. And apart
You
from
will,
that, you have Mhm.
you will give us topic or we'll decide our own?
You will decide your topic.
Okay.
I joined late. I missed something.
No. I was just asking everyone how they are. So, and just Hadeep ji was asking about the exam. So I was telling a little bit about the assignment that we're going to give at the end.
Sorry.
So, how are you, Anusha ji?
I am doing great. Really lost since I've started reading lots of Karmi Yoga.
Don't
So
worry
I'm
about
having midlife crisis right now. That how am I living and how am I supposed to live? But I'm
that.
enjoying it very much. The self discovery is amazing.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. Your own self study is going to push you way ahead than these classes ever would.
Yes, actually,
When
I'm
you
reading
take out
Swami Vivekanand's Karma Yoga and the one in Bhagavad Gita simultaneously.
Mm, wow, amazing, great.
Yeah.
So I was just telling about the assignment. So every teacher will have their own, assignments, and it depends on them if they're taking presentations or giving you guys like assignments. So I will be giving you assignments on the last day, which is 26th for this month, and by the end of the month, you have to complete that assignment and email it to us. And apart from that, you have a total of 3 months to complete the entire course. So that shouldn't worry you because you have enough time to complete the course. Yeah. So even if for 1 month, like, so generally what students do is they go for 1 month Zoom classes and then they go for, or they first do pre-recorded videos, then they join the Zoom live classes. So because they have a total of 3 months, so it's totally up to you how you are managing it. But regardless, joining the live Zoom sessions for 1 month is a good experience from what like from the feedback we are getting, that students wherever they were facing issues earlier, now with the live classes they are able to understand much better and even ask their doubts and clear them uh, when they come up. So yeah, So basically, joining the Zoom sessions, you can, like, even if it's getting hectic for you, it is only going to be good, and not a lot of days are left now. So I think next week we will end the classes. So 1 week is only left. So yeah, try to be as regular as possible, because after this, you'll get your assignment. So it will be helpful for you to, attend the classes and then do the assignments. Yeah.
I just wanted to ask that the exam that you will be giving, since it's my second month already, so the exam in that, like, ASIN exam is going to be there. So how is it going to go? Like, we have to conduct a session of Vinyasa flow for for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or we have to explain the asanas, the contraindications. How will it go?
Yeah, so you have two, when it comes to the final exams, you have two exams, theory and practical. So theory, we will send you the question paper once you contact us that, okay, now you are, like, you have completed the videos and everything. And after you pass the theory exam, then there is a specific format for the practical exam, which I will give you once I check the theory exam and everything. So I posted it on the group also, I think last month. So it includes the one session taken by you guys, and then apart from that, like pass and pranayam that the examiner will give to you, and you have to, like, and it's up to the examiner. So question and answer will be going on in between. So how you, like, the benefits and all, that is a part of the question and answer session mostly. So in between only that will also take place. Yeah. So I'll post it again one more time today, so that everybody who has joined now, they are aware of the practical exam, like what is going to happen in the practical exam. Okay. So let's start today's class. Any more doubts? Okay. So let's begin today's session. So today
No,
I'll
I
be,
just wanted to know this only because now I'm planning to give exam in the first or second week of September. That is why.
Mhm. Oh,
So in that, okay, one more thing, like the philosophy things that we are doing in live classes and the ones in the pre-recorded ones are a little different.
hmm.
Yeah,
Teacher to
so
teacher, there is difference also, the way in which it has been taught in pre-recorded videos. Your teachers were different.
yes,
Now
yes. So
your
that's what
teachers
I'm
are.
asking. We need to do both, or just by doing whatever we did in the live classes, right? The things we discussed, that would be sufficient, or we need to go through the entire pre-recorded ones also.
Pre-recorded are important for you guys to cover. Live sessions are just to support those pre-recorded videos only, actually. That, everything that is given in the pre-recorded videos, we cover that once more in the live sessions, so that if there are any doubts or anything comes up, then you guys can ask. And it's always better to have a teacher, like when we are teaching you. So it's better than going for just the, if you are just watching the pre-recorded videos, your experience will be quite different. And now that you have all the teachers interacting with you also, experience is different. So this is just an addition to the pre-recorded videos. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay, thank you. So we have to go through the entire pre-recorded before giving the exams. Got
Yeah,
it.
it's
Okay,
ideal.
and the
Yeah.
theory paper will be based on the philosophy and Ayurveda class mostly.
Everything will be included in the theory exam, like all
Okay,
your subjects will be included.
okay, got it. Thank you so much for the details.
Pre-recorded sessions, Rupaji, you would have gotten an email, like login ID and password. So you can just go and log with those details and access the pre-recorded videos.
Are they?
Yeah.
They're not the ones on the YouTube, are
So
they? They're
no,
different.
yeah,
Oh, I haven't accessed any of them. I didn't even know about
no.
them.
You must have gotten an email
I didn't see
ID
a.
and a login password. Like details. Yeah, you have those.
Yeah, but I didn't know what that was for. I thought it was for Zoom, but then the Zoom link was given. So It doesn't make any sense. I'm a bit confused.
No, no, no. In that email, you would have been provided with the link also. So just go back and check that email. They would have provided you the link which you need to use to log in. Okay, and then you have to enter those credentials and log in over there, and you will be able to access the pre-recorded video.
Oh, okay. So do we now have like up until 3 months to do that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, thank you.
So let's begin today's class. Question and answer session for the first time. I've had it before the class. After the class, a new experience. So let's begin the session. Yeah. And today I'll just chant a mantra. So you guys can listen to that and eventually, like, we'll do it every day. So if you guys you can start chanting it with me. Yeah. So let's just sit up on the mat. Yeah. Back neck straight. Just close the eyes and start observing your breath. Just observe the natural flow of the breath. You inhale and as you exhale. And just observe your posture. Back neck should be straight. Eyes are closed. Body is relaxed. And as you get aligned in your posture and keep the mind on the breath, will naturally go long and deep. Just feel that transition. And as the breath deepens, just begin to add a little pause, Antar Kumbhak. So after the inhalation, just hold the breath for 2 seconds and then go into the process of exhalation. And let's chant Om together. We'll chant Om one time, and I will chant the mantra. So inhale deeply for Om. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ Sha, sha, sha. Just feel the vibration. Join both the palms together. Rub both palms. Place them on the eyes. Very slowly while blinking and looking at the palms. Open up your eyes. Come back to the smile. Namaste Durga. Let us begin today's session. So today we are going to talk about a very famous, especially in India, a very famous topic of discussion, which is Bhakti Yoga. You will find so many bhakts in India, and depending on the area where they are located, you know, um, the god they believe in uh, also changes. So the best part about Bhakti Yoga, like for mantra meditation, the best part is that you have so much variety. Same in Bhakti Yoga, you have so many gods. Yeah. So if you are a devotee of a certain god, you look for, you have certain things set in your mind, or you're looking for something. Some people look for something. Certain people have qualities in their mind, and depending on that, they choose the god. So there's so much variety out there. Whatever you want to achieve, there is a god for it. Yeah. And the main thing in Bhakti Yoga is your devotion, your dedication, and a sense of surrender. Okay. So let me just write this down in the chat box for you. Bhakti Yoga. This is also called the path of devotion. Bhakti, Bhakti. And this word bhakti has been derived from the root word bhaj, 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 which means loving service. Okay. So bhakti derives from bhaj, meaning loving service. So sense of surrender, sense of devotion are very important when you go on this path. So how do you know this path is for you? You're a very emotional being. Okay. So people who are generally, told you are being very emotional. The situation didn't demand so many emotions. You are, having too many emotions when it comes to this situation. It wasn't such a big thing. Sometimes a lot of people come up and say this to me also, like, इतना जरूरत नहीं थी emotions की. But still, um, someone who connects with their emotional side a lot, those people can very easily advance on the path of bhakti yoga. And this path, like, basically makes the emotion which most people see as a weakness a strength. It turns it it gives you a perspective where you can see it as a strength. Instead of wanting to get rid of it, you use this emotional side of your being, and you channelize it towards a sense of surrender, sense of devotion. And you develop devotion only towards the god that you are connected to, the god that you are choosing to connect yourself to. Okay, so right now, if suppose a person is very emotional, and those emotions just I would get wasted, or that energy just goes away, and you get disturbed, or you get very overwhelmed by the emotion. But when you channel it towards bhakti yoga, in that direction, in that path, that is when you are actually able to work on your own suffering. So it's a way of harmonizing. Again, you are trying to harmonize everything within you, but now you are, instead of using your action, you are using your devotion. So the starting point is the sense of devotion. However, this will also include karma yoga, where you are going into action. So we cannot do anything without action, right? So that is why I said that all the schools are eventually going to merge into one another, and you will never even realize when that is happening. However, the starting point is always chosen on the basis of who you are as a person. Okay, because that path will resonate more with you. Okay, bhakti yoga specifically is in India, like the way in which life is, and earlier the way in which life was, rather than right now. Earlier, the way in which life was a very traditional way of living, where women used to be at home, and they had to fulfill certain responsibilities. They had their own set of responsibilities. So for them, bhakti yoga was very ideal, because they couldn't earlier. The society, all the norms were such that women in India, at least, they stayed at home. They didn't go out, they didn't earn. It wasn't that prominent. It happened at that point of time also. So for a woman, like when you read about bhakti yoga, you might find this mention that it is ideal for women. So um, it was said for a reason only. It isn't there to disturb anyone, or offend anyone. It was just that the way of life was such that bhakti yoga was specifically practiced by women at that point of time, and it's house, in the sense they couldn't leave behind their life, right? So for them it was a very good way to integrate it into their life, how they could practice yoga. Okay, so bhakti yoga was mostly seen like that women used to practice more than men would. Okay, apart from that, you will also find a lot of devotional mention by people who dedicated their entire life to bhakti yoga. People like Tulsi Das and Kabir Das. These people, when you read their poetry, when you read whatever they have written, you will see that the level of devotion that they experienced was on another level. Even writers like Rumi, when you read Rumi, you will see the way in which he has written. It has a lot of devotion and dedication. And he was also one of the people who, his writings are a reflection of Bhakti Yoga only. Okay. So, one of the major texts that you will find on Bhakti Yoga is Narada Bhakti Sutra. Okay. I'm writing this down in the chat box.
So are bhakti yogis more philosophical then? Is it like the way they
Sorry,
think?
I couldn't hear. Yeah.
Are yogi sorry, bhakti yogis, are they like more philosophical? They're devoting their mind to God or something like.
See, initially, so there are. Yeah, your voice got to ask, is the who is practicing bhakti yoga, is he philosophical, right? This
Yeah, they're just more contemplative.
was your question. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Okay. So see, whenever one starts his or her journey on the path of yoga, there is naturally a lot of curiosity that comes up. So the bhakt will also. So when I will tell you about the mention of bhakti yoga in Bhagavad Gita, so that is when Krishna ji said there are two types of bhakts, and one of them is like considered to be like beginner level, and then the other one is advanced level. So for a beginner, because curiosity is also high and the person is still trying to catch all the practices of bhakti yoga, so reading also comes up over there, where you are connected to texts which include god, reading stories about gods, listening to stories about god. So philosophical in the sense that you are acquiring this knowledge, and you are, of course, there is some processing going on inside the mind. However, it includes more emotion. So when you hear that story, people who are very emotional, okay, so when they hear stories, when they see movies also, so they get very engaged and they forget everything, and they're actually able to resonate with the character and feel their emotion. So the emotion part will still be strong. However, they will read about it, they will analyze those things, they are going to they might even end up having discussions, questions and answers, everything will be there. Yeah, but main basis is the devotion. The devotion is the thing which uh, drives them. So it is their motivation basically. So that is how it is. So it is a mixture again, it's not separate, it is a mixture of almost all schools of yoga. Like as you go deeper, that will begin to happen. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So Narada Bhakti Sutra, Narda. Narad Bhakti Sutra, Bhaktisutra. Okay. This is a very famous text on Bhakti Yoga, and if you want to read about like the qualities of a bhakt, the qualities of God, the nature of Bhakti Yoga, you know, what Bhakti Yoga is, what are the characteristics, how one has to practice, all of these things have been summarized in this text. Okay. So if you specifically relate to this class, then you can go ahead and go into deeper study of Bhakti. Okay. So see, all of us somewhere are emotional beings only. It's just that eventually, when you start becoming more sensitive, so suppose let me take the example of a karma yogi, person who believes in their action and that is their main motivation. Okay. So that person also eventually, when they practice karma yoga, go into deeper practice of karma yoga, emotions are something which will begin to come up. Okay. So because we are all emotional beings, yes, somewhere or the other we are. So emotions are something which or everyone is supposed to experience. Somebody is more in touch with them, more aware, but the sensitivity increases as you go on the path of you. So this path is mostly based on this major nature of a human being, and this is considered to be in Bhagavad Gita. When you read Bhagavad Gita, that is when you will see that this has been given utmost. Krishna ji said that somebody who devotes themselves to him, he is the highest. He considers that sadhak to be of the highest quality, that sadhak to be of the uh, highest quality only. Yeah, that apart from any other yoga, he mentioned 18 different yogas. He said that out of these 18, bhakti yoga is the one which is like one. He said it is the easiest because if you surrender, there is nothing that you have to do instead. Ra, um There's nothing you have to do, you just have to surrender. Okay, so one thing is that he considered that to be the highest form of you, that do not do anything. He said, when Arjun, when, so it has been mentioned in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so till this point he has explained so many things already to him. Yeah, we are almost coming towards the end of Bhagavad Gita when we reach the 12th chapter. So when he sees that Arjun's conflict is still not going away, he said that leave everything and devote yourself to me. And that is when he said that a person who devotes himself or herself to me is, in fact, his favorite student, because that student did not make any effort, did not think of anything, but just surrendered. Yeah, and as we grow older, the sense of surrender only starts to fade away in our lives. We are unable to surrender to things. If we surrender to certain things, it will become much easier for us to lead our lives. Yes. So he emphasizes on that quality a lot. And even Osho, when you listen to Osho, he has also talked about Bhakti Yoga, and he mentions that, the Bhakt doesn't, waste, I wouldn't say waste, but doesn't invest time in building something up. So what a Hatha yogi will do is they will work on their body, they will work on the pran, they'll do mudras, bandhas. So they're building up on something. But when you see the path of Bhakti Yoga, it's actually disintegrating. Yeah. So whatever built, you have built up till now, when you surrender, you go on the other way, like you go the other way around. You're not trying to build something up, you're rather disintegrating your beliefs and simply surrendering, just having faith that things are going to work out, and everything that I am doing, like all of my actions, are devoted to someone, so I don't need to worry about it. Okay, so this emotion comes up very strongly, and because it is a path of disintegration, it is much more quick. Okay, so the bhakt will only, you can take a simple example of, like when you just decide to finally, go for something, or you just dive into something. When you do it in life, whenever, suppose you have a decision to make, so somebody will analyze a lot, so that will be the gyan yogi. Someone will hit and try to, check different methods. This can also be done, then goes and does that thing, karma yogi. But bhakti yogi will say that I'm not thinking anything, I'm not trying out anything, I'm simply surrendering, and I will see what happens. And because there is such a strong sense of surrender and trust, then they are able to experience things much more easily. Okay, so because they are working on disintegrating their beliefs and removing the barriers, rather than trying to free yourself, fight off, they just surrender. And it is such a peaceful feeling when you surrender to the right thing. Okay, so it's very important that you surrender to the right thing. So sometimes we end up surrendering, but it isn't for our highest good. You know this happens in rajas, especially when there is a very, selfish motive. Suppose you devote yourself to another person. Yeah, so it's not necessary that that person is worth you giving your devotion to. Why? Because that person will have their own imperfections. So suppose you devote yourself to someone, um, and they have a way of functioning and you have a different way of functioning. So you will just lose your own way, your own path, because neither is that person perfect, nor are you. So at least try to devote yourself to someone or something which is perfect. Okay, so the first quality that has been talked of when we talk of bhakti yoga, the person that you devote yourself to, so that god. Okay, so person I'm saying because a lot of gods have incarnated over here, so they also like, when they come over here, even though we worship them, they are in the human form. So you can devote yourself to them. However, the quality God is a very famous God still over here in India. And when, there are a lot of people who worship him still, and when they devote themselves to him, then they must devote themselves to the qualities of him. So, he was so giving, and he was so loving, and he gave up his kingdom. Qualities that he had, kindness, loving nature, the caring nature that he had. So when you devote yourself to someone, you try to actually acquire their good qualities, and that is how bhakti yoga works. It doesn't work on just the basis of worshipping someone every day. So it's more about the emotion. Once again, worshipping the god every day is also an essential part, but it helps you to connect more with the emotion. That is why it is an essential part. So whenever you choose a god, then that personal god that you're choosing for yourself should be free from imperfections. And another thing, the quality of that god should be that the person should be free of the circle of life and death. So a god coming on earth as an avatar is different, yeah, but that god is still free from this. That person is just coming over here so that they can push the knowledge of spirituality ahead, and make sure that came down over here, he got liberated over here only. Yeah, he became Samyak Sambudh over here only. But then he got free from the cycle of birth and death. So that is why at that point of time, people really looked up to him. Okay. So eventually it came to a point where, he was worshipped and only the worship remained. The practice was totally gone. So whatever he was teaching, the practice was totally eradicated and only the worship part remained. So that wasn't something he was focusing on. That isn't ever the focus of someone who goes on the path of bhakti yoga. The main purpose is to choose the god and become like the god. Okay. So when you choose the god, you want to become like that person. Like you have mentors, or you have certain people you look up to in your life, or you want to be like someone, so you have them on your, like in your room you have a poster or a photo, and you're just like, one day I will be like that person. So how will you be like that person? You're going to develop those qualities. Yeah, you're going to follow that routine. Maybe you admire someone a lot and they worked really hard and they wrote something about their journey, so you read about that and then you try to mold your life in that way, because that is the path to reaching that point, right? So you are implementing, constantly working on the implementation. Okay. And this path, the beauty of this path is that love is the main emotion that you develop when you walk on this path. On the path of Bhakti Yoga, you develop intense amount of love and unconditional love. It's not conditioned. Okay. When your love is conditioned, it is only going to give you suffering. But the yogi who is constantly working on Bhakti Yoga is uh, meant to reach a point where the passion turns into compassion. Okay. So yogi doesn't distinguish. Yogi will love everything equally. Yogi will love everyone equally, because he understands that everyone has God within them. Everyone has a potential of becoming God within them. Yeah. And he sees that potential, and he sees God in the other person, and he respects that energy. and he loves that energy. So the love is never conditional. There is so much love that the yogi feels, and when you come in the presence of a yogi, you will be able to feel that too. You know, right now, if you go ahead, read Kabir Das or Rumi, let me take the example of Rumi only. So if you read Rumi, then you will feel the love. So like, when you read certain quotes written by him, you end up getting that emotion, right? You end up understanding that emotion. So think of how much emotion he was in when he was able to write that. Yeah. So that love he felt, and words are a very poor expression of emotions. So think of how much emotion he would have felt so that he was able to put it in such good words. So it's like 1/4 of what that state of mind when you are in love and rises from the
Your voice is
in your
breaking.
life, like your voice is breaking. Wait, is it better?
No.
No. Am I audible?
Yes.
Am I audible to you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, is it a little better?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I was actually talking about the emotion, and especially the emotion of love which arises in a person when, especially when they are on the path of bhakti. So they get detached from everything else and they develop attachment towards the God. And the attachment is very pure. So, because the moment thing, or it's about them but we make it why me. So these things happen when the love is somewhere conditioned, but when you go into unconditional love, these questions will also
Can you repeat what things happen when love is conditional?
Mhm. Anusha ji, can you repeat that again? Which part should I repeat?
Just the condition whether when you said love is conditional.
Yeah. So see, when the love is conditioned, there is this inacceptance. When you are not able to accept someone completely, that is when your love is conditioned. But when you step into unconditional love, that is when there are no questions in the mind and you go into the state of immense acceptance. Okay, that is the difference between both of these things. And it's a very good way to understand the people in your life also. A lot of people will give you immense acceptance despite like you will do. And especially very good example of this is parents. Your parents will give you so much acceptance, and no matter what you do in your life, most parents, I'm not like, there are certain extreme cases also, but apart from that, most parents, and even those parents have love somewhere, but yeah, sometimes it's not in uh, our control. Sometimes people do not have very good experience with parents, but most of the parents, they are in that state where they can give you unconditional love, and it only comes for their children. That is also another thing, but for the children they will be able to show unconditional love. So that is the quality you must work on developing. Like the entire path of bhakti yoga helps you to go beyond the conditioned love and reach that point where your love becomes free from all the impurities. So right now the love is full of impurities, okay, but eventually it, you know you are working on making it as pure as possible, okay. So you choose a god, yeah, and on this path there is this very beautiful, um, I would say, uh, beautiful thing that happens. You get the divine blessing, okay. So a person who is on the path of bhakti yoga, when god sees their devotion, their dedication, uh, God, the God you have devoted yourself to, you will feel connected with that God, and you will also see how that God is helping you to move ahead in your journey. Okay, so you get divine blessing, divine grace on this path, and this helps the bhakt to move forward and actually support their entire sadhana. Okay, so this very beautiful concept comes in when you read about bhakti yoga. Yeah. So practices like giving service, kirtans, going for satsang, or you know uh, studying about the god that you have devoted yourself to, reading their stories, studying about them, how they managed a particular situation, what they did, when an extreme situation, or when everyone was not favoring their presence, how they acted. That is the quality you want to imbibe in yourself. Just merely, of course, repeating the name, reading about them will help you to connect. However, you are actually not trying to connect to the person, you're trying to connect to the quality of that person. So you will see a lot of people who are bhakts, but they are not able to move beyond the, everyday rituals. And for their advancement, it is very important that initially for beginner, these practices are very good. However, eventually the main target is something else altogether, okay, in Bhakti Yoga. And when you go to Bhagavad Gita, Krishna ji, like, has divided bhakts into two categories. So one he called a parabhakt and one he called parabhakt. APARA, apara. And then we have para, PARA. Okay. The So apara is the bhakti which arises, when the beginner goes into the practice of bhakti yoga. That is when, it is, the focus is mostly on an outside object, like, some murti, idol, or some mantra, you know, uh, the focus point is basically external to you at that point of time. So you look at that god, you feel that emotion. A lot of people in India, you would see they have certain rites and rituals that they perform when they are into bhakti yoga. So all of these are considered to be lower forms of bhakti, because right now you are at that stage where you are still dependent on an external object, and it takes years. Okay, so even if you start on the path of bhakti yoga, it will take you years, and sometimes even lifetimes. It takes lifetimes to shift from apara bhakti to para bhakti, because it is not very easy to see God in everyone. So the para bhakti, it is the higher form of bhakti, and this is when the yogi is able to see God in everyone. Now it doesn't mean that he is literally able to see God in everyone, but he understands, he develops, he has worked on his impurities and removed them. So when that removal of impurities takes place, he sees that God exists in everyone, and he just doesn't uh, do that for the sake of, because it was being said. He experiences that thing. First he experiences it within himself, and that is when he sees that, this person is also having that quality only. That divine force is driving them. So this intuitive understanding, that person reaches an intuitive understanding of this thing, where he feels this. And when he feels this thing, that is when he naturally transcends apara bhakti and shifts to para bhakti. So it's not something that you can force. It comes very naturally. Going from one to the other comes very naturally. Okay. So keep practicing apara bhakti until and unless you reach that point. It can never be, you cannot set your mind that now I'm going to step into para bhakti. It will happen very naturally. So just for the sake of making Arjun understand that, okay, this is the form in which it can be practiced. These are the two forms. He categorized them. However, they are just one is the higher level of the other. Okay, so any doubts in any of this? Okay, great. So let's continue our session tomorrow. Some portions of Bhakti Yoga are still left, so I will cover them tomorrow. Okay, so let's end the session with one Om Shri Shantis. Okay, so you can get your doubts tomorrow also, in case you have doubts of this session. So just back neck straight, keep the eyes closed. And we'll chant Om one time, followed by 3 Shantis. Inhale deeply for Om. Om. Shanti. 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 Just feel the vibration. Join both the palms together. Bow down. Take out this moment to feel grateful for everything you have. And now put the palms together. Keep them on the eye. Very slowly while blinking and looking at the palms. Open up to everyone. I will meet you all in your pranayam class. Once again, any doubts? Okay, great. So I'll see you at 3 today. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.